Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge and it's Chelsea who lose 2-0 at Leicester. Leicester go to the top of the league. What a performance from Fofana. But despite going top of the league and despite the performance from a fantastic young centre-back, yet another brilliant signing from Leicester's recruitment department, it will be about Lampard, and I think this could well be the end of Lampard. Lampard out, Lampard sacked. I think you've got to look at it. You've got to look at the amount of money that's been spent. You've got to look at the league table. The league table doesn't lie. Chelsea have played 19 games. They're on 29 points. More importantly, they're 9 points off Leicester. That's the team that they would be looking to overhaul to get in the top four. They probably wouldn't expect to catch Manchester United or Liverpool or Man City. Today, they've lost to the team they would hope to catch to get Champions League football next year, unless they're going to win the Champions League this year, which is very, very unlikely. Does that justify the end for Frank Lampard? I think if it is to be the end, it's very, very sad. But what this reminds me of, and you know I like an analogy, this reminds me of a spoilt child. Of a spoilt child who may not be spoilt themselves, but have been spoilt at Christmas. You want the PS5, you get the PS5, you get the Xbox, you get the Switch, you get you get loads and loads of other things, and you don't know what to do. You start on the PS5, then you're playing on the Xbox, then you're playing on the Switch. Oh, I'll go back to the PS5 to complete that game now. Or don't, and I'll go to that. He's got too many options, and he's too inexperienced for it. And there was a brilliant comment on the watch-along we were doing earlier that would a manager, an experienced manager, have allowed that amount of transfers to happen in the summer? What ownership does Lampard have on the players that were delivered to him? Because I'm telling you now, Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, they would, I'm absolutely confident, they would have said, what are you buying me 5, 6, 7 players for? I can't bring them all into the team in one season. It's going to cause disruption. And at one end of the season, at one end of the league, it's caused disruption. It caused disruption at the end. Villa did this the season they came up and they nearly went down. Fulham did it the year they came up a couple of years ago and went down. You get to a point, and I personally think 3/4 signings in a summer transfer window is your max. You go above that, you've got issues because the team from last year is going to get disgruntled because too many new players are coming in taking spots. The new signings are going to get disgruntled because they're not going to get the game time they want. And you've got an inexperienced manager in Frank Lampard. And I think he's taken too many players on. Now, whether that was his... look, we've all played FIFA. We've all played Football Manager. If your chairman or somebody says, I've got you all these players, do you want them? You're going to say, yeah. You're going to back yourself. But the issue with Chelsea, and I'm not a Chelsea fan, the issue with Chelsea, for me, is... Last season I watched them. They were conceding a lot of late goals. They were, they lost 13 games or 12 games and they finished 4th, which is ridiculous. But they were scoring a lot of goals. They were creating a lot of chances. Defensively, they weren't that good. I felt with Timo Werner coming into that team in the summer, that was the signing. We knew they'd done that at the start of the summer, and I was like, that's a great signing for them. I predicted Werner would be the top goal scorer in the Premier League because I thought if Chelsea play like they did last year, those chances will be put away by Werner. Amazingly, this year, they just don't create chances. I watched Chelsea play and they create hardly any chances. Even tonight, Leicester had loads and loads of chances. Chelsea 1 or 2. It's not enough. Same against Fulham. They don't create many chances. And defensively, they're still conceding goals. So the chemistry, the system that was very clear to the outsider and was very, very clear probably to Chelsea fans, it's just disappeared. And I think the players have stopped playing for the manager. I think Lampard is now out of his depth, and I think that Chelsea are out of the top 4 race. And those 3 things would mean sacking a manager. But I think it will be very sad because his legacy as a manager at Chelsea will be very, very sad because I think the first season he was there, they got to an FA Cup final, they finished in the top 4, they played good football, and he'd had a transfer ban, he'd lost Eden Hazard, he had loads of things against him. And he succeeded. And it looked like he was heading somewhere. This season, he gets all the money more than anybody else, and he fails. And it's very, very sad because somewhere in the middle, I think there was a good opportunity for Lampard at Chelsea. He did really well in adversity, and then he had way more than anyone else and failed. And I think, if he just had maybe Werner, Havertz, and the goalkeeper, I think they might have been all right. 3 or 4 signings instead of 6 or 7, and I think they would have been all right. Because, how many has he had? Havertz, Werner, Ziyech, Chilwell, Thiago Silva, Mendy, that's 6. It's too many, and I think there are more. There's probably people I'm missing. So it's too many players when you've got a lot of players that are good anyway. You know, Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi, Mount, Abraham. You know, they've already got a lot of players, and yeah, it's sad. It's sad in relation to Lampard, but too much too soon maybe will be the thing. But I wouldn't forget his first season. I think he had a good season at Lampard. And look, personally, I'd give him till the end of the season. I would say give him till the end of the season because, you know, maybe there's an opportunity for things to get better. That Chelsea team will be a good team. It will be a good team. But you look at their next 2 games, their home games before they play Spurs, it would be a good time to get a new manager in and give him a bit of time. But maybe, I don't know. They're not going to get top 4, are they? So, you know, if you're going to sack him for not getting top 4 in May, maybe you sack him now and get a manager in and give them a bit of time. I think he will get the sack. I wouldn't do it. The same with Arteta. I wouldn't have done it. And I wouldn't have done it with Ollie when he went out to Leipzig either. I would give him till May, but I'm not a Chelsea fan. It's not up to me. And I think that, you know, maybe, you know, what I would say about Chelsea is he's only been there a year and a bit. And if you're going to sack probably one of your club's best legends after a year and a bit, what chance does any other manager have? But Chelsea have always been quick with the sack. So I think he will go. As for Leicester, top of the league, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. If you've got good recruitment, you've got a good manager and you've got good players, you're going to have a good season. And Leicester, again, are having a good season. I think Maddison's improved. I thought last year he wasn't that good. Ndidi's back, running the midfield. Fofana's bloody brilliant. They've still got Ricardo Pereira and Sionku on the bench to add to that. They pass the ball really well. Their goals look good on the eye. Vardy, you know, is Jamie Vardy. Harvey Barnes is a good player. Albrighton's industrious. Tielemans as well. The fullbacks are good. The keeper's a safe pair of hands. You know, it's not a surprise where Leicester is. And the question for me is, at what point do Leicester become an established top 6 side? Because people say go and buy Fofana. He's only just signed for Leicester and he signed for a lot of money, so he's not going anywhere. And there's a lot of players at Leicester that probably aren't going anywhere. And they're probably going to be a top 6 side next year. So at what point do Leicester become a top 6 side and, you know, mid-table Arsenal don't? Well, probably never, because the traditional top 6 will always be the big clubs. But fair play to Leicester, and you know what? Those sort of clubs are a breath of fresh air to our league because they're a well-run club with good players, good recruitment and a good manager. And fair play to them. They did fantastically well tonight and they deserved the win. Unfortunately, we'll be overshadowed by, I think, Lampard getting the sack, but we will see. Thanks everyone for watching. Get your comments in below. Make sure you subscribe and smash a like on the video. That all rhymed.